Alright, so here's the question I received. It's very deep questions. It could go in many directions. He asked me, he sent, he called me and asked me this. He said, what if one of your students becomes better than you, you know, in martial arts, whatever. I mean, it could go in many directions, and I'm going to try to answer it from all different angles. But there's different aspects to it. You know, one thing is the business aspect. There, there's also, okay, there's the family, like my family, my children, and then there's students. I don't know if he's talking about, if they're merged, but there's, okay, so I'm gonna answer that. There's a business aspect to it where it doesn't matter how great of a martial artist the person is. Like, I'm the owner of the business, and I will remain the owner of the business, and that's just something that's not going to change until I die. And I will, before I die, I may appoint one person. It could be my family member, or it could be one of the students that would be the most capable at that moment to replace me as the owner. But when I'm living, nobody's gonna be passing me because it just is what it is. It's like an owner of a company. Like, he created the company, he's the CEO. Like, there's nobody gonna take over him until he dies. So it's, for example, like the Apple, the Steve Jobs, created it, and then he passed away, and then now it went to Tim Cook. That's kind of how it would be. FMK would be always be owned and operated by me while I'm living, and nobody would be able to, quote unquote, be better, because it doesn't work that way. Just because somebody say is good at sparring or is really fit doesn't mean that he's gonna all of a sudden be the, running the company, running the school. I mean, it's just not how it works. So you put your whole life into something. You created something. You put your whole life work into it. Nobody's ever going to surpass you in that. Until you pass away, you're in control. And then when you pass away, before you pass away, it's like a will. You give rights over to the next person to try to take what you left, where you left off, to take it to the next level after your death. It's similar to like owning a home. Like, you own the home, you paid it off, everything is yours, and you're gonna own it for your entire life until you decide to sell it. But as far as my school is concerned, I'm always gonna be a part of the school as long as I'm living. I'm not gonna just get rid of the school, while I'm living. It doesn't make sense. you know so the school, I'm always going to be in control, the head person of the school, until I die. Nobody will ever pass me up. There's no such thing, unless they want to start their own school under their own name, their own brand. Then so be it. Then they do their thing while I continue to do mine, and that's it. As far as this person saying, what if this person is, the student is better than you? Like, there's a lot of different aspects of the martial arts to assess. So, of course, a person can be better at one thing than somebody else, but to be better at everything, it's going to be almost impossible to be better at everything. So, but what is assessed within my school, as far as what would I assess in a student in their development as a martial artist, I assess their time spent in the school, like actual days training in the school. That's assessed. What else is assessed is their physical development according to their age and potentially gender. And then what else is assessed is their combative development, and that would be learning the forms, the tiger form, the phoenix form that I created, in addition to their safe sparring ability, their abilities with all the weapons, you know, um, their abilities in using the training equipment like the punching bag and you know sandbag and things like that. And then comes their development in meditation. So those are the main things that are being assessed. Now, first part, training in the school. I mean, if I'm running the school, I don't know how they could be there more than I am if I'm running the school. If anything, they could be there the equal amount of time as me. You know, if they're there more than me, then they would have to recruit their own clients and students and run their own classes. And then it becomes like a business arrangement where I get a part, the school gets a part of their profits and the school benefits. And essentially, okay, maybe he attends every single class that I conduct, and in addition, he even trains more people on top of that, and so he's actually spending more time at the school. That's a potential, which is a great business opportunity as well. So there's no conflict there at all. So I would want somebody to be there more than me as long as it's bringing income into the school. So that's a good thing. Second assessment is fitness. What if there's a student that was more fit than me in everything? More flexible, faster, better bench press, better squats, better everything in the fitness. Well, fitness is more of an individual development, and if he could set a higher standard than what I can set myself, then as long as he's truly a part of the school, then it serves to be another inspiration for the people. And if he's representing the school, then it should benefit the school. So I don't see a conflict there. You know, I really don't. Because there's a bunch of people on YouTube that are more fit than me. There's people at certain gyms that are more fit than me. And that doesn't stop me from progressing or my students from progressing. They know there's more people in this world that are more fit than me, but they still choose to be a part of my school. And that's not a conflict when there's people outside of the school that are more fit than me. Now, if there's somebody that's actually in the school that's more fit than me, then it serves to be an inspiration for the students because he's also part of the school, you know. But it doesn't mean that he's gonna be running the school. I mean, we'd have to talk about the business arrangements, you know. Like I would still have my classes. If he wants to have his classes, then great, and then the school benefits from him bringing more people in, and that's great for the school as well. Um, and one of my close martial art friends who's really talented, I mean, he's really fit too, and we're in a way, there's certain things that he's better than me at. And, he's taller, he weighs more, and he serves to be, he's really athletic. And he might be a little faster, and there's certain things that he is better, and my students some of my students have met him, and they're inspired by him too. And that doesn't take away from the school. But even though he's fit, you know, and more fit in certain areas, it still doesn't make him a Sifu, you know. He's not running the school, Um, and a student, I mean, eventually it could happen. I mean, if I'm 60 years old and one of my students is 30 years old, and he should be more fit in certain areas. Um, and he might be more fit than me at that moment in straight comparison. But then if you compare my 30-year-old self to his 30-year-old performance, he might not be on par. But if he actually is even better than when I was 30 years old as well, then hey, then that's a good representation. He's working for, he's representing the school as well, and he serves to be inspiration, which is a benefit. It's similar to like athletic teams, like say basketball. Like say you have a Michael Jordan and he's on the Chicago Bulls, and then you're in the New York Knicks, but then Michael Jordan ends up becoming a free agent, and then he signs on with the New York Knicks. Then the New York Knicks will benefit from the talents of Michael Jordan. So when you got talented people that sign up to FMK and become a part of FMK, it just enhances FMK as long as they are a part of the FMK family. So that would be a good thing. Okay, so then the next part is the forms, the combat. Now somebody in there, somebody could be good at sparring. He might be good at hitting the punching bag, but he will not know anything about the forms, and he would have to learn that. So there's no way that he could just all of a sudden be better at the forms that were created in the school. He would have to learn it. So when I teach it to him, and he gets good at it, and he gets really good at it, okay, that's great. And then say he learns all of it, then we might start creating together in order to have more material for the less advanced students to work with, which is not a conflict. We would still have to be at the same page and then create the curriculum together. As far as sparring is concerned, if he's better than me at sparring, I mean, for the most part, people should be better than me because people are usually bigger than me, so they should be fast. They should be bigger. Most people are bigger, and with that added height, with an immense amount of athleticism, they should be able to do what I do at a higher level because of their added height and their athleticism. So somebody who's doing exactly what I'm doing, but he's like 5'9", or 6 feet, he should be able to serve as a better challenge for as a sparring partner. And once again, that's a benefit to the school, because not only it's just that now then I wouldn't be the main person that people had to prep up towards to spar at a high level. They would have to, I would be right underneath. It'd be first, right now it's me. Like, people have to build up in order to spar against me. But if somebody's actually better at sparring than me, then I'd be right underneath them, and then they'd have to build up to spar against this person that's the greatest challenge. And that could be a benefit to the school. That would be a benefit to the school. Because not only will the students have me to spar with at a high level, but they'll also have this other person to spar with. And I will even have somebody else to spar with to challenge me to get to a higher level. So that's a benefit to the school. But like once again, just because somebody's good at sparring doesn't mean, oh, this person's the CEO of the school, or this person's the Sifu. I mean, he's good at that aspect, but it doesn't mean that he's running the school. You know, like that's it just means that he's good at that aspect of the martial development. You know, and that's completely fine with me. And as I stated, working together will enhance the school. So as the main thing is working together without head bumping, working together in harmony will better the school. But if there's a lot of head bumping and there's a lot of ego and, you know, unhealthy competitiveness, then the person would probably end up having to leave the school because of those conflicts. And then he'd probably have to, not probably, but if he wants to teach, he would have to create his own school and with his own brand and his own name and his own way, you know. But if there's no conflicts, then okay, you know, he's more fit. Okay, he could spar better. Okay, that's great. You know, now students will have more inspiration. And it's not that different than what's going on right now because Seagung is my father and he's pretty much like double my age. He's like 66. I'm 34. And he's still training with, you know, he's training at the school 3 times a week. And I'm there more than him. At this point, I'm more fit than him. At this point, I could spar better than him. But he's still a big part of the school, but in a different way. Like he has contributed so much towards the financial aspect of the school. And without his presence, not just the financial aspect, but just his presence in the training, there'd be a lot to miss. Because a lot of the students get to know him and they enjoy training with him as well. And the students are not just learning from me, but they're also learning from him. So we're working together to better the school. And without him, the school wouldn't be as good. Without me, obviously the school would not be as good. So us working together is essentially taking the school to a higher level. Now, if there's a student that's going to be taking that type of lead or that type of, you know, setting that type of example, then it will hugely benefit the school. You know, so he's better at sparring. Okay, that's fine. As far as meditation is concerned, better at meditation. I mean, meditation is it's a tough thing to say who is better and or what, you know. It's a tough thing because it's a lifelong study and it's not really something that's so easily gauged, you know. But if the person's really talented in meditation, then that's completely fine. Then the person can, we could take turns in leading the meditation aspect of the school, no problem. And that's essentially what I do anyway. Like when I lead a meditation of the school, all I do is just make a reading, or we might sit in silence for a while and then I make a reading and then people reflect on the reading. No big deal. So then it's just like somebody who does what I do, and then it takes the burden off of me. Now I don't have to do it every time. Now the other person can do the reading and then they can offer their reflections and have everybody else contribute. So that's no conflict. It really isn't. I really don't see any conflicts as far as those aspects are concerned. So the amount of days being there, the physical fitness development, the combative development, the meditation, there's no conflict as long as you know, they know and they understand that I am running this school, and there has to be that respect. So they could be better at all these things, but I'm still running the school. I'm still making the decisions. There's certain things that, certain direction the school may go in, that I'm gonna ultimately make the decision on that. And they have to be able to adapt and accept leadership and authority, you know, because it's not like we started this company, this school together, you know, say 5 years ago, and then they contributed, $100,000. I contributed 100,000. We build a company together, and then we create the name together. We brand ourselves together. We market together from the very beginning. It's not like that. It will never be that way, because the companies are, the school's already been started, and it's already been moving for so long, and a new person steps in, there's no overtaking the the management of the school. It doesn't matter how fit he is. It doesn't matter how great he is in combat. It doesn't matter how great he is in meditation. There's no overtaking the management of the school. As long as there's that understanding, then there shouldn't be problems. The more students the person brings in for him to teach or for me to teach, and then the school receives a certain portion of his profits, then the school is going to get better. That's a benefit to the school. You know, the more I'm trying to create like a sparring team, the larger that this team gets, the better it is for all the students. If the students could spar with not just me, but they have 10 other people to spar with, then that's a great thing. Not 10 people that are garbage, but 10 people that are also really good at sparring, then that's great for all the students. As I stated, fitness development is more of an individual achievement. But if he could set the standard to be higher than what I have set, then that's great. As long as it's a natural development and it's not some type of thing with steroids or performance enhancing drugs, then that's a great thing. I would be happy to have somebody in the school that could do 50 pull-ups, that could bench press double the weight, that could do, a one finger push-up or whatever the case may be. That's gonna bring more respect towards the school when they see different people, not just me, representing the school to a very high level. Then that's a great thing. Meditation, there's absolutely no conflict, but if the person wants to come in there and say, okay, we're gonna do readings from the Bible, then that's gonna be a conflict, because I'm the one who makes that decision. You know, at least for my class. If he has his class and he wants to do readings from the Bible, then that's his decision, and it really doesn't affect me or the school. But if it's my class, it's my class. I'm running the class. If it's his class, it's his class. He's running his class. Now, what gets in the conflict is when it comes to money. If he's taking students from me and trying to build, and there's a conflict and a conflict of loyalty, then there's a problem. You know, but if the people, all the students understand that I'm the Sifu, this person is an advanced student, and they're learning from both of us, but they still, everybody including the advanced students understands that I am the Sifu, and that I will be making the directional decisions for the school, then there really is no conflict. But once again, if the person's trying to say, because I'm better at this, and this, I'm overtaking you as the Sifu and now I'm running the whole school, then there's a definite conflict right there. Because this school has been created by me, and I am running the school, and nobody else will be running it. that type of conflict can only be resolved when the person separates from the school in which to run his own school under his own name and finding his own students and things like that. But essentially, it can work. You think about it in the NBA, the Sifu is pretty much like the head coach. The Sifu is like the Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson's not going to be better than Michael Jordan, but he's still the head coach. And then you got a talented player like a Michael Jordan, and then say there's a talented player like a Kobe Bryant, and then they're playing both on the same team. Now, it could all work, and then everybody could benefit. The entire Bulls team could win 10 championships in a row because they got Phil Jackson, they got Michael Jordan, and they got Kobe Bryant all on the same team. Now, if there's a conflict between Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson, and say Michael Jordan says he wants to be the head coach, but he can't, like, you're not gonna be the head coach. That's the role of Phil Jackson. And then say now there's Michael Jordan that's the shooting guard, and then Kobe Bryant is a shooting guard. Well, you can't have two shooting guards, so somebody's gonna have to play the point guard instead of the shooting guard, or somebody's gonna have to play the small forward. So that everybody has their position, and like it's if things are run properly, then it could develop into something beautiful. Okay, so that's pretty much what it boils down to. A lot of it is also a deep understanding that if the Sifu keeps working hard and he keeps doing that for the rest of his life, there's really no passing him because, say the Sifu is 30 years old when you meet him. You meet him at, say, the age of 15, and he's 30, he's double your age. He keeps training hard. He's been training hard since the age of, till the age of 30, and he's way better than you because he's been training for 30 years, and you've only, you're only 15, and then he's clearly teaching you to get better. And say 15 years later, you're 30 and he's 45, and he kept training for those 15 years to get better and better, and then you kept training and you keep progressing as well. You're still not catching up because you're still 15 years behind because he was working hard and you were working hard, and then you just kept moving and you just won't catch up, until he dies, and then you might catch up. So it's kind of like the whole Bruce Lee thing. Is like Bruce Lee, his growth stopped at 32, and he cannot keep training until he's 60 or 80 or 100. Like, he stopped at 32. So everybody that's been born, they have to do this whole catch-up game, and they might not catch up to Bruce Lee's level until they're like 40 or 50 or 60, because that's how long it took to get to where he left off. But that's the only, there's really no catching up. If the Sifu keeps living and it's a lifestyle, he just keeps going. And he's always going to have that time ahead of you, that experience ahead of you. He's pretty much already been there and done that. And you're always going to be someone that's going to be below him, learning from him. Now if the Sifu ends up getting lazy, say you meet him at the age of 30, he's at a really high level, you're at 15, and then he teaches you like everything that he knows, and then you keep working hard, but then he stops, and then you might surpass him by the time you're 30 and he's 45. He might have stopped training and then just got so engulfed into the teaching that he stopped training, and physically you look at him and you can tell that he's no longer training, he's no longer fit, he can't even spar anymore. He pretty much has just lost the passion. Then by the time you're 30, you might be past him, and at that point then you might either have to find somebody else as a guide that could challenge your growth, or you just have to look within yourself and continue to motivate yourself to keep going without having another guide. But a lot of times you might find somebody that has passed away, like a Bruce Lee, and then use that energy to motivate you to keep going, even though there's no living guide helping you reach towards the next level. But that's pretty much how it goes. If the Sifu is a real Sifu, he should keep training and training and training, and you're not gonna catch up. Because he's already been there and done that. By the time you're 30, he's 45, and you think you're better, but when he was 30, he was even better than you when you're 30. Then you're 45, and then he turns 60, and then you're still not at the level of where he was when he was 45. He was even at a higher level than you. And then you turn 60, he turns 75, and then you're still not at the level of where he was at when he was 60. He was still at a higher level than you. So it's like trying to catch up with somebody in age. You can't, because as you're aging, they're aging as well. They don't stop aging. They keep moving, and you keep moving. So time keeps on passing for both of you, and you're not gonna catch up unless he stops through death. And he doesn't live till he dies at 75, and then you live until 80. Then that's when you could pass him up, because you lived beyond his age, and you could represent a higher level than what he was able to represent, because he never saw 80 years. He only saw 75. So you can present the art to the next level beyond him, because you lived longer than him, and you kept training just like him, but the only difference is you lived longer. So essentially, that's kind of where we're at right now with the Bruce Lee dying at the age of 32. I'm about to turn 35 pretty soon, and I could be representing, the real martial arts beyond where Bruce Lee left off. As long as I keep training and working hard, I could represent the beyond, represent a level of which nobody has ever seen before, because they thought that Bruce was the highest that he could get, but realized that he died at 32. He didn't die at 64. If he would have accomplished everything that he accomplished at the age of 32, and then kept living until he's like 90, then you would see further growth, further expansion. But we were not able to see any of that because he died at 32. So essentially, you could go beyond, because he died, then you could keep moving forward and bring it to the next level. And that's part of my work, is to essentially move forward beyond Bruce, and that's going to take a lot of work, because he brought it to such a high level. But it can be brought to an even higher level, because obviously dying at the age of 32 is still a young age to die at. So there's not necessarily a conflict. It's working together as one unit, as one family, to represent a higher level in the martial arts. And there really can't really be a martial arts school which is me by myself. So the more talented students that I have, the better it is for the school. As long as we're all working together representing one unit, then it provides further inspiration towards the public. Even if there's a female student that reaches a very high level, she ends up becoming an inspiration towards the woman to achieve a level of which she was capable of achieving. So the more talent that we have within the school, as long as it's managed, as long as this talent is managed properly, then it could be a huge benefit to the school. So look at all the talent that has got into the Golden State Warriors. You got Kevin Durant, you got Steph Curry, okay, you got Thompson, I think, whatever the guy's name is, and then you got Green. Like, you got some really talented players, and then you got Steve Kerr as the coach. So you bring all this talent together, it can create so many beautiful things. And all the NBA teams, none of them can win a championship with just one superstar alone. You need multiple talents in that team in order to bring the team into a championship. Same thing with a school. You know, you just can't have one Sifu and that's it. You cannot have a successful school with just one person. There needs to be more talent than just one. And then when that talent multiplies, then it can be taken to great realms. You know, and then that's what creates a very well balanced, you know, great martial arts school. And that's different than what Bruce Lee was representing. Bruce Lee was just representing himself as an individual. But to represent an entire school and have multiple people within that school representing a high level, that's a whole different thing. You know, it's not an individual sport. It's not like a boxing or wrestling or billiards or golf or bowling where it's just all about you. No, it's like a basketball team where you got a head coach, you got 5 players, and you got players on the bench, you know, that are representing this entire team, and you're trying to have this team win a championship. Now, just a Michael Jordan is not good enough. You need a Phil Jackson. You need a Dennis Rodman. You need a Scottie Pippen. You need multiple talents to bring the entire team to a high level. And that's kind of how a martial arts school is run. You know, it's not just about having a talented Sifu. It's about having a talented Sifu and potentially a talented Qigong, and then a bunch of talented disciples, and then advanced students, intermediate students, all helping each other go to the next level. So really, I don't see any conflict there. You know, it's just more of a management issue more than anything. So hopefully you know, I analyze the question in different angles to see it, you know, to see it from multiple points of view. But that's the way that I see it, you know. And I hope to you know, I hope to get more talent within the school. I hope to generate more interest in the school and to retain talent, you know, to generate interest within the people, retain people, build people, and have the students be loyal to the school. I hope to do that, but it's not easy, you know. A lot of times you wonder if you should just, you know, sometimes you want to give up and be like, you know what, it's hopeless, you know, like, but then other times you're like, you know what, like, I gotta keep going, I gotta keep trying, you know, because you see potential and you hope to keep building, you know. And if you put the time and you have the patience, you put the effort, it could be a beautiful thing, you know. A very rich school with multiple talents in the school, you know. And that's what I hope to do. That's one of my biggest challenges and goals at this moment, is to build in this school, build more talent, and have more individuals, new faces, you know, representing a high level within the martial arts.